All right, last but not least, we're going to have Kirk Satterfield come on up and talk some golf instructional training aids.
Thank you guys, thanks for coming out. Always an exciting time. I know it's a little past the show and some of these things may have slipped your mind, but a few items that Carl, Kevin Sprecher, who they're unfortunately able to be here today, and I found at the show that majority of them aren't terribly expensive, so some nice new innovative things that you could maybe add to your teaching program. First one, I'm going to have Mike Larkin come up. Just, you can unplug that camera, Mike. First one that I found is called Live View Golf. Started by a guy in California. The iPhones and iPads make it really simple these days, but basically this is a small camera, obviously, that connects wirelessly to an iPhone or iPad. From there, the player, I'm going to pull the app up here, just give me a second, can use it to basically act as a mirror. So you can put it down in front of you while a person's practicing or swinging. They can see what the camera's seeing. And then also you can record video. So a person could record it, it saves right to your iPhone library. You can draw lines on it. You could email that video to an instructor. So I plan to use it for some juniors who are tech savvy, who practice a bit on their own. They can send a video to me. Some of our guys who love a mirror to practice in, I like it for that. You don't lose your frame of reference when you look back, so you're actually looking right down at the camera while you're making a swing, theoretically in the same posture you'd be while playing. So very cool app, pretty inexpensive. I think for a PGA Pro it's about 160 bucks. There's not a wholesale avenue to get these yet, so selling them there's not much markup. I think he gives a little discount if you buy 5, but something that you could potentially pass on to some of your students. Good, Mike. All right, Steve, what do we have next? Super Speed Golf. Yeah, so these are the Super Speed Golf, which I'm sure some of you guys have seen. Some of the tour players are using it now. Started by 2 TPI certified teachers who, if you're familiar, maybe as long as 10 years ago, they came up with this speed training where you would build a club that was 10% heavier and a club 10% lighter than your current gaming driver. And you'd practice with it. The idea was that you would use the heavy one first, hit 10 or 20 balls literally as hard as you could hit them. You'd end with the light one that you could theoretically swing faster, hit those balls, and then do this over a course of time and gain speed. So obviously you can't hit balls with these. These guys have come up with 20% lighter, 10% lighter, and then 5% heavier. They claim that they watched biofeedback on sequencing situations, and when you go farther away from 20% lighter or 5% heavier, things start to change a player's rotational speeds that aren't characteristic to their normal driver. So the idea is that you swing these on a daily basis, right-handed and left-handed, as hard as you can swing them, and then you always go from heavy to light, so you end with the light one. They have some other versions for a typical male golfer. You have three, and then they have the other ones for juniors and seniors. So you'd add one of the lighter ones from the male with a junior, or a senior, or a lady. So you can get a set of these. And I think speed training in golf is an important thing, something we're all talking about. As someone who teaches a bunch, it's hard to get somebody to swing faster. It just seems to be a difficult situation. So these do seem to help. The downside is you can't hit golf balls with them, but I think swinging these things faster every day certainly could help. How are we doing over there?
We're doing great.
Good. All right. So on next to Smart Ball Golf. This is an innovative little tool here. It's basically a mat that you turn on. It has a laser sensor in it. I obviously won't hit a ball, but you can so it's a low point trainer or a low point sensor. So the idea here is that you start, normally you'd have a ball here, so it's actually going to calibrate where the golf ball is. Once it calibrates, then if a person makes a swing, right, it's going to show where it lit up. So right there, I got 3 orange dots, orange lights. So that's saying the low point of my swing was behind the ball. So theoretically, I hit that ball fat. Go back again, and if you go further forward, right? I didn't get any yellows there, so my low point was farther ahead. You can chip with it, you can pitch with it, you can embed this in a mat. I think certainly for your player who struggles with that bottom of the arc situation, you could have them make practice swings on this and get different feels for how does this feel work for where that low point is. You can also, as I said, you can chip and pitch with it. I think, from my perspective, probably as a practice swing trainer for feel-wise, it would be the most valuable. But certainly a neat idea. Basically, these lasers come in here and start sensing the club as it goes through. So I like this.
First light is where you first mint, essentially.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Also for somebody that drags the handle too far, you need to
Yeah, I
back it
mean,
up a little bit.
if you really take it forward, right? So I hit way forward on that, so that's well forward. So the green is evidently green is where you kind of want it to come down based off that light, and then yellow as you go back, the low point's further back. Pretty neat device. I'm sure they're going to continue to make some upgrades to it. Pretty cool. Yeah, this one's really neat. So string rods golf, really inexpensive, neat training aid for people. This will actually fold up into a small, basically like 2 alignment sticks. You can put it in your golf bag. It has these movable strings, and each tick mark here is theoretically a degree. So you can lay this on the ground. You can put the ball in between those sticks. They're very flimsy, so if you hit them with your club, it would be fine. You can angle the path. If you're working on someone's path, you can point it more to the right or more to the left. Theoretically, give them the visual of what they're doing. You have the ability to put some pegs here and elevate it off the ground, maybe for putting. So you could have them stand in there and set up these strings to give them a proper path. But again, a really kind of an innovative, interesting, inexpensive tool you can give a player to work on their own. I like this one. I think it's good.
Always keep the poles can stay parallel pretty easily. That's
Exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
That's the hardest thing.
You have to measure it out.
Somebody kicks them, they're moving all over the place.
Exactly. So I don't have an example of the next one, but it's called Tough Fly. I'll have Steve bring up the picture, but pretty cool. It's basically a mat. Everybody here with a big driving range. It allows you to simulate uneven lies. You can go uphill, downhill, side hill, and there are 2 different versions. There's an 8-degree slope and a 4-degree slope. It swivels very easily and locks in. Pretty expensive. I think it's $2,500 for a PGA Pro, but you get a lot of questions about that when you're teaching, especially a newer player, talking about lies, uneven lies, and frankly, most of our driving ranges are flat, so it's hard to simulate. So neat idea. They're pretty heavy, so they're like 80 pounds a piece. I think they can stay out in the elements. If you had a driving range, you could put them on, or maybe just move them off to the side. But I like it. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's not something you'd use every lesson, and
No.
I'm sure you can keep that thing forever almost.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we went as far here. We redid our range, and we tried to create a situation on the side where we made those uneven lines. We sort of rolled some things off and put some humps and bumps in it, and for that, sometimes we don't think about it, but for the average golfer, they really struggle when those lies are different. So being able to take them to a spot and give them a feel for hitting that shot is really nice. So I like that one. All right, power plane golf. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. Fortunately, I don't have the proper sensor here to make it work. I'll pull it up online as well. But all the lasers and the laser technology is incredible. How they're so sensitive now. But this is a laser that you put out in front of you here, and then you're going to have a hat clip that's going to have a sensor attached to it. Yeah, you can play that chip back video. It's pretty interesting, and I'll talk about it. We'll get to it.
Hello, I'm Chip Beck, and I've played professional golf for probably 40-something. Years. After all my years of experience, the biggest issue people have is moving in front of the ball and moving off the ball. But now with the power plane, we have a device that actually teaches you how to feel if you're moving too much or excessively in one direction or the other. Well, I tell you what, if I just drift left, it's picking me up.
Yeah.
Look at that, just that little bit. That's amazing. I think it's the nicest device that I've seen for head movement. And that's the big key in golf. Keep your head still.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, isn't it? And it's stable. Okay, it's picking me up.
So it has you already.
So if I move, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
It feels like that, just a little bit,
Yeah. And now feel how far the back plane is.
which is great. So I can go now. So it's registering for me. And then I can go.
Beautiful.
I can't remember ever going to the range and just throwing a ball out. I like getting my target. I remember Arnold Palmer saying you always have to have a target. That was one of the key rules, you know. And then Jack Nicklaus always picking a spot.
Yeah.
So when I do that, I go in there and I set my club down. See, the power plane's got me.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It's hard to practice properly and correctly. The power plane can really help you stabilize your head. It gives you enough freedom to swing, but also to get you to sit that, oh gosh, that's too much. Or, well, I am moving ahead. I am swinging over to the left too much. The power plane is a very good device for helping you improve your golf swing, and you can do it on your own. You don't need a teacher there every time to tell you, which is the best part about the power.
Yeah, so it gives audio feedback. So basically, you set the parameters for how much movement you're willing to have, and if you break the plane of those lasers, it starts beeping. And I think it's pretty good. I mean, if you could use it for putting. If you had a person who moved a lot for the putting, that instant feedback, the audio feedback, certainly tells players what's going on. Great for practice strokes and what they need to feel in terms of movement both ways or the other.
So you can only put it on your hat, like say the guy has a big knee slide, but his head goes backwards.
That's a great question. I would assume that wherever that sensor is, the laser beam goes on. I would imagine that you could put it wherever you wanted. If it breaks the plane of that laser, I don't think it would be on. I would assume the plane of the laser is all the way through here, not just up here somewhere. Although it is tilted at me on an angle that's relatively at my face, so I don't know the answer to that.
I think Carl did say that you can, because you got that little, it's basically like a ball marker clip that would go in the hat that holds the sensor. So you could attach it to a belt loop if you wanted hip slide is what Carl was saying.
Yeah, I mean, for practice swings, you normally get people doing like, big moves off, so you could sort of set that up, and then that feedback's really nice. So pretty good device. Pretty good.
What's the cost on it, Kirk?
Don't know for sure, Andrew. I would buy. I have to get back to you on that. I can find it though. So the next one here is well putt, and I've actually been using two things. They have a well putt mat, and then they have a well putt stroke template. And I've been using the stroke template a little bit for myself and for students, what I like a lot. I'll talk about the mat first. Comes in different lengths and 2 different speeds. This one's really fast. I think this one's 11 on the step meter, so this thing really flies. But what's fun about it is you can set up games for your students. The kids love it, and it's mostly speed control games where you get different points for putting the ball in the right area. Like I lose all kinds of points there. That's moving pretty fast. They can go from different levels, keep their score, and then try to accumulate a higher score each time. So, and it rolls really good, really fast. The best. Now, what I like these templates. They come in 3 different degrees of arcs. So you're basically, it's made of, I'm not sure what the material is, but it can lay down on actually any floor. It's very tough. The ball can rest in this hole. And then great for alignment. You can align the club face up square, and then you have a blue line here that's on a specific arc degree. And then it shows a square to the arc putter face at each different point. So many of my students go short back and really far through. So the numbers here, I'll often tell them, okay, we're going to go 3 to 3. It gives them just a reference in their mind about how far they're going to go. I think following the lines is good. It certainly gives them an idea of where they're going. You can put tees in when you're outside to make gates, so they hit it if they go off path. You can make gates here for start line of the ball. But a couple different options for your degrees. This one's their square one, so it's still a reasonable arc. I really like this thing. I think it's great, especially for the newer golfer that's not sure exactly what they're supposed to be doing. It gives them a great visual template. The kids like it too. This is probably my favorite, I would say.
What do you get when you buy that? Just the mat, the other overlay?
Separate, actually. So the mat is different, same company, different purchase. So the mat's separate, and then you buy this template separately as well. So if you go to their website, Steve, I don't know if their website's up, but I think they have Well Putt Stroke, I think is what they call it, if you go to products.
Do they give a discount for pros or no? You know?
I don't know the discount.
Yeah, you know who
I know
Doug Mosh.
Doug Mosh is
Is called
this.
H4 Distribution out of Jupiter, Florida, and yeah, I would just reach out to him.
Yeah. It's similar to yeah, exactly. The swash guy. I'm not sure exactly the degrees if they're similar, but it's the same concept of the face angle. All right, Steve. So the next we have Decade Golf. Not really a piece of technology, but something I thought I'd talk to you guys about. Certainly, the Moneyball approach to every sport is becoming sort of a must these days. But a guy named Scott Fawcett, who was a former tour player, developed this statistical analysis of players' shots based off of the strokes gained at. And he has had incredible success. If you look through some of the guys, obviously PGA Tour winners. I'm pretty sure the NCAA champion and the US Amateur, is there a US Amateur champion on there? Is Bryson DeChambeau. Maybe 5 USGA championships is Bryson. I think he uses it. But basically it's an app. You sign up for pros, for yourself. It's $199 for 6 months, and then $19.95 per month after that. You log up to 5 scores. After 5 scores, they start to do an analysis on all of your strokes and where you are losing strokes, how potentially your strategy is affecting your score. So, for instance, I'll pull up a video here. See if you'll pull up that Hideki video.
Yep.
I think it's worth watching.
One goal we're going to have with the Decade Birdie Fire system is to bring weekly content based on what we see on the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, or college events that happen to be on TV. Here's an example of that. First of all, I've been really excited with the way Tigers played this week, but that's just me as a fan. Let's move on to what we really want to talk about right now. Hideki is putting on an absolute clinic. He's got a 5 or some odd shot lead. Here he is on 15, puts a swing on it. Freaking guy's roasting at it, not happy. I thought this ball could be absolutely anywhere, and instead it is absolutely right at the stick. Now, how is it possible to have that reaction after that kind of a shot? Let's take a look. Unfortunately, Google Earth is not as good overseas outside of the States as it is inside of the US, but Hideki was right here. He was 245 to the stick, which was right here on the front edge. This green is actually a pretty wide green up here. It's about 28 or so yards wide. And so if you can imagine, with a PGA Tour player, a 28 or so yard wide green from 240-ish, they should be able to hit it within that zone roughly 75-80% of the time. So if Hideki is aiming that shot right at the dead center of the green, he's going to keep it within it quite a bit of the time. And he hit what was basically apparently a pretty bad shot that he obviously thought was even further left than it was. But because of proper targeting, there is no question that he got away with a pretty poor shot. So a fairly wide green, I mean this green is basically as wide as a normal fairway. He hit a shot that he definitely thought was going to be short-sided a little bit to the left over here, but because of proper strategy, there's no question with his reaction, he was aiming that ball to the middle of the green or potentially even slightly right of center, because this is obviously the better way to be coming into that particular pin. So once you understand how strategy works, again, I'm not saying Hideki uses decade, but I'm telling you he uses it intuitively, because that reaction on a ball that was lasered right at the pin was absolutely not where he was aiming that thing at, and this is what you guys can learn with Decade by Birdie Fire. Come on in, guys.
So it gives you percentages of where to aim, and it basically takes the statistical analysis of where a person should aim from the particular yardage they are, how far away from a flag they should play, depending on how close it is to the edge of the green. I'm not totally versed in this. I'm going to use this season. I think it gives you a quantitative approach. He had, there's a story, he took an amateur player who was ranked, I think 3,000th in the country. I think this is right, 3,000. Caddied for him, claimed the only thing he changed, he just said, I want you to aim every ball where I tell you to aim every shot, nothing else. And that kid is now like a top 5 player in the country based off of the strategy, how he plays. I'm sure there were some other things that were part of that, but strategy is certainly a big part. And probably good players are doing this a lot on your own, but you don't have a quantitative approach. This certainly gives the chance to that, and your students can use it. There are options for your students. There are categories. If you're a PGA Tour player, amateur player, certain handicaps, there are categories that a person could use. So if you have these dedicated students that want to track it, I think you can learn a lot from them. I like it. I think it's going to be really big. A lot of people are using, a ton of colleges, if you look through it, are using this on a daily basis. So a couple more things here. Another cool little inexpensive product is called Alignment Pro. Basically 2 alignment sticks. However, this one has a articulating arm with a sharp end, so it can go in the ground. Use it a lot of different ways. You can use it in front of you here, or sort of your impact plane. You can stick it in the ground, maybe over a putt. This way, use it as sort of an eye line where your eyes are, or alignment of the club as it goes back. A lot of different ways to use this in a really inexpensive product. It slides right in your golf bag, so pretty innovative. And then a couple more things here for putting. First one's called Perfect Speed Side. It goes into a cup. Theoretically, at the wrong speed, the ball will not stay in this cup. So you start to teach people, even if they're rolling it across, they've got to roll it to where it'll stop inside of this cup. Pretty neat thing to have, especially for those beginning golfers that are trying to teach them speed. And then finally, I thought this was a neat little device. It's called Putt Out Golf. It has a video here. You guys can watch it on your own, but it's basically a return for practice putting, with the idea that they claim that the distance that it rolls back is the distance the ball would have gone past the hole. I'm sure green speed would have a play in that, depending on how fast it's moving. The idea of the perfect putt, if you hit it dead center with the perfect speed, actually will stop right in this hole. I've probably hit 100 today. I think I've got 2 in, so it's pretty hard to do. But a neat little gift. Certainly have it in your shop, maybe for a person to have at home as a trinket. Something for a kid to practice with in his room would be neat. I think that's all of them, Steve.
Good. All right. Well, a lot of good ideas to get our instructional brain going. Thank you, Kirk. Look, we're over time here. I just want to thank everybody for the entire, on behalf of the entire section here in the Met section. Thanks for everything that you do and all the contributions that everybody's made this year, and all of our host clubs, host presenters. We couldn't do these without you, so we've got a few things coming up on the horizon. We've got our spring meeting on the 29th of this month. On April 11th, we have our spring educational forum with Phil Kenyon, the great putting instructor of Rory McIlroy, and we're also going to have Michael Bentley from Blast Motion speak at that as well, and talk about their findings, both of them in conjunction at one point. And then the end of April, April 25th, our District 2 Teaching and Coaching Summit Really excited about that. It's a new thing that we're getting partnership with the New Jersey and the Philadelphia PGA sections. We're going to be at Fiddler's Elbow on April 25th, all-day event. So hopefully everybody can make that event. And anyway, let's have a great year. And thanks again for everybody. Thanks.